ડોક્ટર બાબા સાહેબ આંબેડકર ઓપન યુનિવર્સિટી.
Namaskar dear students, I am Dr. Himanshu Patel working as an assistant professor in School of Computer Science of Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University, and I welcome you all for the course on cross-platform application development using Flutter. In today's session, we are going to discuss one of the most important topic in Flutter, that is navigation in Flutter. Navigation is the heart of every Flutter app. Whether you are just switching between two screens or building a production scale app with dozens of pages, understanding navigation is very essential. In this lecture, we will explore Flutter's entire navigation system, starting with simple push and pop method and moving through name routes, passing and returning data, dynamic routing, and we will end with modern approaches like Navigator 2.0 and Go_router package. So by the end, you will know which navigation style to use for any Flutter project. So let us look at it. Learning objective. Here is what we are going to cover in this guide to mastering Flutter navigation. First, we will start with basic of navigation, learning how to push and pop screens using Flutter's Navigator widget. Next, we will explore named routes, which is a cleaner, more organized way to manage navigation in growing app. Then we will look at passing data between screens and returning data back when page closes, which is essential for building interactive apps. We will cover dynamic routing with on-generate route, which gives you flexibility when your route can't all be predefined. Moving forward, we will dive into Navigator 2.0, which is Flutter's declarative navigation system for more complex apps. We will simplify that Flutter with the Go_router package, which is a modern approach that combines power with ease of use. And finally, we will compare Navigator 2.0 and Go_router and wrap up with best practices to keep your navigation clean, scalable and error free. So by the end, you will know which approach to choose for any Flutter project, whether it is a simple app or a full production scale application. Now let us understand what is navigation is. In Flutter and software development in general, navigation is the process of moving between different screens, pages or view in an application. In Flutter, each screen is called a route and navigation between these routes is managed by a widget called Navigator. The Navigator uses a stack data structure where the last screen you push is the first to pop off. Think of it like a stacking cards in which you always add and remove cards from the top. The basic building blocks are route, which is a widget representing a page in your app, then Navigator, which manages which route is currently visible, and stack, which ensures screens are managed in order using LIFO, that is last in first out logic. Think of navigation like flipping through a deck of cards. There are two operations. First is a push, which means you place a new card or screen on the top, and second is a pop, in which you remove the top card to reveal the card underneath. Let us understand why it matters. User expect apps to flow smoothly from one feature to another. Good navigation makes app intuitive, organized and scalable. Now let us try to understand types of navigation in Flutter. Flutter supports two main styles of navigation, imperative and declarative. The difference comes down to how you instruct the app to display a specific screen. First is the imperative navigation, which tell me what to do next. Second is declarative navigation. Here is where I am now and figure out the rest. Now both styles are valid. Flutter supports imperative navigation for simple cases, but declarative navigation is recommended for apps with deep link, web support or complex routing requirement. Let us first understand imperative navigation, which is also called traditional approach. Let us understand how it works. You explicitly tell the app what to do, means push this screen now, pop that screen later. It is a core API in Flutter which has a method like navigator.push, navigator.pop and navigator.push named. Here our mindset is I am controlling navigator directly, similar to giving turn by turn instruction rather than describing your destination. Now let us understand its pros and cons. So advantages include it is simple to understand for small apps and it requires minimal setup. The disadvantage includes it can get messy as app grows and it is harder to synchronize with external events like deep links or browser back buttons. So this is all about imperative navigation. Now let us understand declarative navigation, which is modern approach. Now how it works? Instead of telling the app step by step what to do, you describe the current state and the navigator automatically updates the user interface to match that state. There are core APIs in Flutter like Navigator 2.0, which is low level official API, and there is a go_router package, which is high level package built on Navigator 2.0. Now here our mindset is that the current screen should always reflect my app's state, similar to saying I am at this address and letting a GPS calculate the route. We also discuss advantage and disadvantage of declarative navigation. Advantages include that it works naturally with deep linking, web URLs and back or forward browser buttons. It is easier to reason about complex navigation flow, but there are some disadvantages also, like more setup and boilerplate if using Navigator 2.0 directly. It requires shifting to a more state driven mindset. Now let us compare imperative and declarative navigation in Flutter. So on screen you can see the changes like how it works, core API, mindset, setup complexity, deep linking and web support, whether it is best for small apps or simple flow or complex apps with dynamic routing or multiple platform. And there is a control versus abstraction. Like in case of imperative navigation, we have full manual control but more repetitive code, and in case of declarative navigation, it is a state driven control and there is a less manual intervention. Now let us try to understand basic navigation, pushing and popping. So let us start with foundation of navigation in Flutter, that is pushing and popping screen. This is known as a imperative navigation because you tell Flutter exactly what to do step by step. Here is how to navigate state from one screen to another using navigator.push method. So here we have one example. Here is my first screen, which is home screen, and there is a button called launch screen. Now whenever I click on this, it will redirect me to or navigate me to second screen where there is a go back button is provided, and when I click on go back, it will let me back to first screen. So there is a navigation between first screen and second screen using push and pop. So here you can see how it works. Navigator.push takes two arguments. First is a context and second is a page or screen that we want to open. So here I write down material page root, which takes builder as an argument and it returns second screen, which is a this screen. And when I click on this go back button, I can call navigator.pop so that it will pop out the last screen, which is a second screen visited. So I will return back to my first screen. So this is how pushing and popping works. Now these push method add second screen to the top of stack and display. And how to go back using navigator.pop, that we have already learned. When you click on this navigator.pop, the last pushed screen screen was removed. So second screen is removed and I will go back to my first screen. Now these removes the top screen from the stack, returning you to the previous one, that is a first screen. Now this method is suitable for small apps or simple workflow such as navigating from home page to a detail page and back. It is quick and easy, but as your app grows, manually pushing and popping can become harder to manage. So for that, we can use named routes for better organization. As your app grows, hard coding screen with material page route everywhere become noisy and error prone. So for that, we can use named routes. Name routes centralize navigation in one place, makes call simpler and reduce coupling between features. You can see on the screen that this is an example like previous one. So here is the first screen, and when I click on launch screen, I can go back, and if somebody tries to open or root page which is not in existence, it shows that page not found in this error page. So it displays the page you requested is not found. So you can also configure misplaced routes using functionality like displaying error page. So in this case, we register route names in material app, and the on unknown route gives you a safe fallback when route isn't found. So here in this case, we call on unknown route, or system will decide that this is not registered page, so it will display this unknown route page. Now here is a code how it works. So here you can see inside run app we define material app, and inside that we can define initial route which is a slash, and we can define other pages using routes. So here I define slash which is my first screen, and slash second is my second screen. So we define initial route which is first screen, and we define other pages like these using routes. And after initial route and routes, we must define on unknown route. So here we have to open not found screen which displays page you requested not found. So here I return material page route, and inside that I define builder which returns not found screen which is our error screen. And when I call this navigator.push name and provide context and slash second, it will redirect or navigate me to second screen. And when I call navigator.pop, it again return back me to first screen. And when I call navigator.pushed name and write down slash third, but since this third is not defined in routes, it will redirect me to that error screen. So this is how named route works, and it organizes your code in a better way. Now let us try to understand how to pass arguments between screens. When moving from one screen to another, you often need to send data forward. For example, passing an item ID from a list page to detail page. So here is a example. Here you can see in this screen we have number of items. There are 10 items, right? And when I click on any particular item like item 2, it will redirect me to detail page which display its detail. And when I click on item 7, it again redirect me to detail page with description of item 7. So this is example of passing argument between screen. So whatever is clicked in first screen will be available in a second screen. In this case, it is a item text. So why do we pass argument? To display specific data on the next screen, like showing product details, to configure behavior of next page like opening in read only mode, to avoid global variables or unnecessary state management for simple data transfer. Let us understand two main approaches in Flutter to pass arguments. So the very first is using anonymous routes, which is sometimes called constructor parameter. Now this is the simplest and most direct way you pass data through the Wget constructor when pushing a new screen, and its advantages are it is simple to write and understand, no need to configure anything in material app, and disadvantages are it can become messy if navigation logic is scattered everywhere, and it is not ideal if you want centralized route manage. So here on screen you can see this is my first approach using anonymous route. So here I use navigator.push. The first argument is always context, but in second argument I use material page route which takes builder and it returns detail screen. But in that detail screen constructor I have passed item at specific index. So this is how we pass data available in first screen to the second screen, which is detail screen, and we use its constructor to pass data. So this is using anonymous routes or constructor parameter. Now let us discuss second step, which is using name routes with arguments. Now this approach passes data using the argument property in navigator.push name and extract it on the destination screen. Now what are the advantages? It works well with centralized route maps like material app.routes, keeps navigation code consistent across your app, and disadvantages are it requires explicit argument extraction using model route. If you pass complex object, you must cast them correctly. So here is how we can pass argument. So we use navigator.push name. First argument is always context, second is a page that we want to navigate, and third is a argument that this is some data. So in second screen we can extract this data. Now this is example of push data. Now how to extract that data is shown here. So here inside override method of second screen we retrieve argument safely using model root.off.settings.argument as a string. So here we define argument of type model root.off.settings and this is optional. So we write down question mark here, and here I write down written scaffold. Inside app bar I display that text details, and inside body in center I will display child as a tag with whatever argument is written, and if no data is received then we display no data received. So this is how we can use argument to send to second screen, and this is a code to retrieve data in second screen. So sometimes when you navigate to a new screen in Flutter, you don't just want to show something, you want to get something back. For example, you open a screen to let the user pick color or item or option and choose a contact or confirm an action. When they are done, you need that choice sent right back to the previous screen. So let us understand with example. On screen you can see this is my home screen or first screen. Here I provided elevated button which displays pick an option, any optional. So when I click on this, it displays this screen or navigate to this screen where we have two options, yep or no. So when I click on yep, it displays or return me back to that home screen, and in snack bar it displays button text. When I click on no, it again return me back to previous screen, and inside snack bar displays what user take action or which button is pressed. Now let us understand code for these. So here you can see we have method called navigator.pop. So inside that I provided either yep or no. So whenever that button is pressed, yep or no, I write this code navigator.pop context and yep or no depending on which button is pressed. Now how to retrieve that data inside first screen is shown here. So here it returns future. So here we define future method, navigate and display selection which is of type asynchronous. So navigator.push returns the future that completes after calling navigator.pop in the selection screen. So here we retrieve result. So it is a await method. So inside that I write down navigator.push, then contact, and then material page route builder which returns action screen or second screen. So these push method will navigate me to this selection screen, and whenever that option is selected I can retrieve that back in this future method. So when builder context is used from stateful widget, the mounted property must be checked after asynchronous gap. So here I write down if not mounted then we must return, and if user has selected screen which returns a result, hide any previous snack bar and show the new result. So here I define scaffold.message.off contact and then remove current snack bar if any, and then show snack bar with tag whatever result is returned from previous screen. So that is provided in this result when this push completes. So this is how we can return data from a screen in Flutter. The secret ingredient is the navigator.pop method, because it doesn't just close the screen, it can carry data back home. Here how it works. When you close a screen and call navigator.pop with a value like shown on the top of screen, that value could be anything, a string, a number, even a custom object. In this example, we are returning the string app or knob. Now returning data from screen makes your app feel interactive and connected. Whether it is a pick data, a selected color or full-blown user profile, Flutter makes passing it back easy and clean. Now let us try to understand dynamic routing with on-generate route. Now what is dynamic routing? Dynamic routing with on-generate route in Flutter is powerful way to handle navigation when routes need to be created at runtime rather than being pre-declared in a static route table. It is especially useful when you need to pass data dynamically between screens. You have a larger app and don't want to maintain giant route map, because if the number of pages are large, then your route table is also large and you want fine control over transition or error handling. So let us take one example. On screen you can see my example. So here there are 3 buttons. Go to details, which pass argument ID with value 42, and when I click on this, it will return me to this detail screen, and when I click on go to FAD screen, it will navigate me to FAD screen which displays this message, and when I click on last button which says go to unknown route, so it displays 404 page not found error message. So it dynamically decides which route we should navigate to. So why it is a dynamic? On generate route is a callback that intercepts every navigation request. You don't need to pre-register every possible route in a static map. You can process arguments at runtime like IDs, user data, query parameters, etc. You can add conditional logic, for example, redirect to login if user is not authenticated. You can define custom transitions by using page route builder instead of material page route, and we learn when to use on generate route. Now let us understand when to use generate route. So passing dynamic data between screens like IDs, loading different screen based on condition like login state, handling 404 style unknown routes, and applying pre-route custom transitions. So these are the example when we need to use on generate route. So let us understand advanced navigation, Navigator 2.0. Navigator 2.0 is Flutter's declarative navigation system, a big step up from the traditional imperative Navigator 1.0 API. Instead of pushing and popping routes by calling methods like navigator.push directly, Navigator 2.0 lets you describe your entire navigation stack as data, and Flutter updates the user interface to match it. Now these makes it much easier to handle complex navigation scenarios such as web style URLs like deep linking, browser back buttons, then authentication flow, so redirecting unauthenticated users, and multi-step wizards or tab system, and synchronizing app state with navigation state. So these are the scenario in which we can use advanced navigation or Navigator 2.0. Let us understand key concept in Navigator 2.0. The first is pages. So instead of routes being pushed and popped, you maintain a list of pages. Now Flutter renders them in order. Second is router or route information parser, which lets you read URLs or route info and turn them into app state. The third is router delegate, which converts your app state into a list of pages, the navigation stack. And there is a back button handling in which you handle it declaratively by updating state rather than manually popping. Now let us understand why use Navigator 2.0. So for deep linking, which works naturally with web URLs or app links, state driven navigation, the entire stack is rebuilt from single state variable. Third, predictable back button behavior, so no manual pop calls scattered everywhere. And fourth, it is better for large and complex apps. It separates navigation logic from user interface. Now let us compare Navigator 1.0 and Navigator 2.0. So on screen you can see the difference between Navigator 1.0 and Navigator 2.0, like navigation style, how routes are managed, typical API, state handling, how deep linking or web URL is supported or handled, then how back button behavior is handled, custom transition, whether it is best for simple apps or complex apps, then code organization, and regarding URL synchronization. For example, there are no supports by default in Navigator 1.0 for URL synchronization, but Navigator 2.0 supported browser back forward buttons synchronization with app navigation. So these are the difference between Navigator 1.0, which is imperative, and Navigator 2.0, which is declarative. And we can see that Navigator 2.0 is far better than Navigator 1.0, since it is a declarative in which you describe the full page stack as a data, and it is a state driven. Stack is rebuilt automatically from list of page objects. So clearly Navigator 2.0 is a best choice for large and complex apps. Now let us understand our last navigation tool, which is the GoRouter package. The Go_Router package is popular Flutter navigation library built on top of Navigator 2.0. It is designed to make advanced navigation simpler, declarative, and URL friendly. It removes much of the boilerplate required by raw Navigator 2.0 while still giving you all the benefits like deep linking, state driven navigation, web URL synchronization, etc. Now why use GoRouter? So it simplifies Navigator 2.0. You don't need to manually implement router delegate or router information parser. It provides built-in deep linking, so it works out of the box for web, mobile and desktop. Then there are name roots plus type parameters. You can easily pass and extract parameters directly from the URL. Then there is a declarative navigation. The user interface reflects your app state automatically, and there is a built-in redirect. It is useful for login flows. For example, send user to login screen if he or she is not authenticated. Now let us understand key features of the GoRouter package. First, URL parameters and query parameters. It provides declarative navigation, it provides redirection or authentication flow, and it supports nested navigation, and it has a built-in error pages. Now we have two options, Navigator 2.0 and Go_Router package. Now why we should prefer Go_Router over raw Navigator 2.0? So let us discuss that. Now on screen you can see the difference between these two in aspects of boilerplate, deep linking, redirection, route parameters, tab or nested routing. So if you see the table, in case of raw Navigator 2.0, it has a high boilerplate because you have to maintain router delegate and router parser. In case of GoRouter, it has a minimal single configuration object. If we talk about deep linking, in raw Navigator we must manually implement deep linking, while in case of GoRouter it is built in. Now let us talk about redirection. So in case of Navigator we require custom code to implement redirect, but in case of GoRouter there is a built-in redirect callback is available. Then route parameters. So in case of Navigator, we must parse manually from settings, but in case of GoRouter, there is a built-in parameter parsing via path segment. And what about nested routing? So in case of Navigator, it is complex to set up manually, and in case of GoRouter, it is supported out of the box. Now let us understand best practices from navigation. So first, prefer declarative navigation for complex apps. Use Navigator 2.0 or GoRouter if you need deep linking or browser URL synchronization, authentication redirect flow, or complex multi-tab layouts. Use Navigator 1.0 only for very simple apps, a few screen with no deep linking. Now second is centralized navigation logic. Keep your routes and redirect logic in one place like GoRouter config. Avoid scattering navigator.push or navigator.pop all over your widget. Make navigation state driven, not event driven. Third is use parameters instead of global state whenever possible. Pass IDs, query parameters or filters directly in the URL or path. Now these makes your app easier to debug, test and share. Handle unknown routes gracefully. Always you should provide a 404 page or fallback route. In GoRouter, this is automatic. In Navigator 2.0, handle it on unknown route or on generate route. Then keep user interface and navigation state separate. So you should use a state management solutions like Provider, Riverpod or Block to drive navigation that we have already learned. Your route should reflect the app state rather than controlling it directly. Then you should use context.go and context.push correctly. So context.go replaces the entire stack like going to a new route page, while context.push adds new page on the top of stack for drill down flows. So you must use them correctly. Then you must secure your routes. If your app requires authentication, handle it via router redirect like GoRouter's redirect callback. Never rely solely on hiding user interface button protects the route itself. And finally, you have to test your navigation. Test deep links by pasting URL directly into a browser or emulator to ensure screens load correctly. Verify that the back button works everywhere, especially on Android and web. So friends, we have discussed everything about navigation in Flutter. So now let us sum up. So we can say Navigator 1.0 is simple but limited. Navigator 2.0 gives full control but requires more boilerplate. Then there is a robust GoRouter which combines Navigator 2.0's power with an easy to use API. In short, for small apps, Navigator 1.0 is fine. For medium or large app, GoRouter is usually the best choice. And if you need full custom control, then you have to go for Navigator 2.0. So friends, I hope you have detailed understanding about navigation in Flutter. I hope you enjoy the session. Thank you and happy learning.